Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we have more information on the investigation of a Perry County shooting. Plus, a new era for the Environmental Protection Agency begins. We'll tell you more about it. And the latest updates on a group headed to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Taylor Upchurch. Today is Wednesday, April 17th. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Like we said earlier, Brandon, it's going to be warm today.
It's going to be warm and it should be fairly nice. A few clouds around this morning, but no major issues to report. Stonecrest Golf Course, as we head out the door this morning, a little dreary looking over there, but the sunshine will be floating around as we head deeper into the daytime hours, back and forth at least. We see the satellite radar loop for the last few hours. Again, quiet with it when it comes to precipitation, but again, just a few clouds around today. 46 Monticello, but temperatures are already starting to go up. 48 in Hazard, 61 Jackson, in Prestonsburg, 59 in Pikeville, 53 down toward London, 46 in Harlan. So between an iced coffee and a normal coffee type of day there. App forecast today, you can get that app for free in all the app stores. You see the temperatures climb quickly into the 70s by lunchtime, into the low 80s by this afternoon under sunny clouds or partly cloudy skies. I'll have the rest of the forecast on the way here in just a few minutes. Taylor?
All right, thanks, Brandon. For the last few days, we've been in the dark in terms of information surrounding the ongoing investigation into a Perry County shooting. We knew that a man was shot several times Friday night and that deputies were searching for a man and a woman. Now, we not only know the name of the victim, but the man police are searching for. WYMT's Justin Case talked with the sheriff yesterday about what you need to be on the lookout for as police search for the man they believe is responsible for the shooting.
Friday night, officials say there was some kind of confrontation between two Perry County men, both in their early 40s. Investigators believe James Reed III took out a gun and shot Brian Smith 3 times in the lower body.
The victim stated to us that he'd been shot, and we later found out that it was the male and the female that we've seen walking on the tracks that he had described.
Deputies drove right past Reed and the woman he was walking with while rushing to the scene. Since investigators have only found spent shell casings near the train tracks, they say it's likely Reed still has a gun.
Somebody might see that guy, and he is still, possibly armed. We've not recovered the weapon, so for public safety, I think it's best at this time I go ahead and release his name.
Just a short distance from the scene of the shooting is a community of homes. People here say they know both of the men involved and are currently praying for the victim, Brian Smith.
He's a good boy. He was. He is. Sorry. He is a good boy. He's all right. He's had issues like most people,
Sheriff Joe Engel says Smith is still in serious condition. He says Smith is being sedated while undergoing treatment, meaning deputies have not been able to get further information from him. Because of the nature of the crime, officials are expected to charge Reed with first-degree assault.
And going with the assault first, which is serious physical injury that could cause death, and later on as we uncover more things, that could be up to attempted murder. We're still a lot of things that's left unknown right now that the investigators are working on trying to uncover.
Officials tell us the woman who was seen that night alongside Reed is a person of interest and not a suspect, so they are not releasing her name at this time.
At last check, officials with the Perry County Sheriff's Office are still working to get a warrant for Reed's arrest. They say it will likely come Wednesday, and Sheriff Engel says Brian Smith is expected to survive. Deputies ask that you call them if you believe you know where Reed might be. And 2 people are dead and 1 person is in the hospital after a shooting at a shopping center in Sevierville, Tennessee. Police were called to the Coach store at Tanger Outlets yesterday afternoon. They say 21-year-old Leon Stephen Jones shot 24-year-old Olivia Cattell Cunningham and 75-year-old John Marr. Cunningham was killed. Marr was taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. According to officials, Jones turned the gun on himself after the shooting. He also died. Police believe the shooting was random. And it looks like Boeing's 737 MAX airplanes are one step closer to flying the friendly skies again. A Federal Aviation Administration panel released a draft report Tuesday on changes the plane manufacturer has made to training for the 737 MAX stabilization system. The report called the changes operationally suitable. The panel says Boeing can now begin plans for training pilots on how the system works. And President Trump has a primary challenger, and he's already hitting the campaign trail. Meanwhile, the president continues to throw barbs at Democratic candidates. Natalie Brand is at the White House with more on the latest shakeup for the 2020 primary season.
Former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld hit the campaign trail in New Hampshire Tuesday, one day after launching a primary challenge to President Donald Trump.
Bill Weld for president.
Weld was a 2016 vice presidential candidate on the Libertarian ticket with Gary Johnson. Last month, he reiterated his Republican credentials in an interview with CBS News.
I have always been a Republican who tends toward the liberty side of the party.
Despite a primary challenger, President Trump continues to focus on the Democratic field, particularly Bernie Sanders. The Vermont senator and Democratic socialist got cheers from a Fox News audience Monday during a televised town hall.
Do you think it makes sense to spend twice as much per capita as the people of any other nation and be the only country in the world not to guarantee health care to all people?
The president tweeted Tuesday, "So weird to watch crazy Bernie on Fox News." He has also been tying Sanders and other Democratic candidates to socialism and framing the upcoming election as the fight against it.
They can talk all they want about socialism. All socialism is a method into the poorhouse.
So far, Sanders has the highest fundraising totals of the Democratic field at a little over $18 million during the first quarter of 2019. President Trump, however, has raised about $30 million in that same period. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Sources tell CBS News that former Vice President Joe Biden could announce his candidacy as earlier as next week. And the Trump administration will allow Americans to sue some foreign companies that do business in Cuba. According to a senior administration official, the White House will start implementing the so-called Title III of the Helms-Burton Act. It allows lawsuits against any business that operates on the property appropriated by the current Cuban government. The provision has been waived by every president since Bill Clinton. And more than 2,000 migrants, most of them from Honduras, are currently in Mexico traveling to the border with the United States. On Monday, the migrants traveled from Tapachula to Uixtla, both in the state of Chiapas, which borders Guatemala. The 40-kilometer journey took more than 8 hours by foot. The caravan was escorted for part of their journey by municipal police and followed by a federal police patrol, as well as ambulance from Civil Protection. President Trump and the First Lady will join other leaders next week at the National RX Drug Abuse and Hero Summit in Atlanta. More than 3,500 people are expected to attend. The conference was first organized by Operation Unite to discuss ways to curb the nation's drug problem. Congressman Hal Rogers is also expected to be there. We will have live coverage from the conference as well. The grips of drug addiction can be felt throughout our region, and startling new research shows how bad the problem is. A new study from West Virginia University shows that from 2015 to 2017, deaths from the drug fentanyl went up in the state around 122%. But during that same period, good news, overdoses from prescription drugs went down significantly by about 75%.
As the prescription drugs have been cut back in the supply, people have turned to street drugs.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, in 2017, West Virginia led the country in fentanyl-related deaths. Ohio came in second. The numbers for the state last year have not been released just yet, but researchers say they wouldn't be surprised to see the trend keep going. And several well-known U.S. politicians attended the funeral of former U.S. Senator Ernest Fritz Hollings in Charleston, South Carolina on Tuesday. Former Vice President Joe Biden, Congressman Jim Clyburn, and South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster gave eulogies. Hollings was elected to the Senate in 1966 and held his seat for more than 38 years. He's credited with creating the National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration and also helped revamp airport security following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And a new era for the Environmental Protection Agency officially begins. Andrew Wheeler will be sworn in as administrator yesterday afternoon. President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence will be on hand for the ceremony. Wheeler is a former lobbyist for the coal industry who has been the EPA's acting administrator since last summer. Wheeler says he doesn't reject climate change, but says it isn't the most urgent crisis the White House is facing. Another member of the Trump administration is making a visit to the Commonwealth this week. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos will join Governor Bevin in Lexington today for a roundtable on school choice in Kentucky. The two will then head to Benton to announce an anti-violence grant to the Marshall County School District. 2 students were shot and killed by a classmate at Marshall County High School in January of last year. And now let's go to Brandon with a check of our weather.
Well, the forecast this morning starting off a little bit chilly in some locations, but otherwise not too bad over Whitesburg this morning. Still pretty quiet. Maybe just a few clouds across parts of the region, but otherwise not too bad overall. We're looking at satellite and radar coming in waves as we head through the morning hours with the cloud cover. Temperatures on the chilly side in those valleys, 46 in Monticello, up to 50 now in Somerset, though. 46 also Harlan and Middlesboro, 60 in Prestonsburg, 61 in Jackson, just down the road here in Hastert. We're at 48, and Pikeville's at 59. Your almanac for today, 69 is our average high, forecast high 82, record high of 86 back on this day in 2002. Out the door forecast, well, doesn't look too bad today as we get to right around 82 this afternoon. Should be right in there in the 70s by lunchtime. Taylor?
Thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.